Are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked On Spartans Nation, how on earth are we all doing on this either Monday night if you're watching on YouTube right when this video drops, or hey, on Tuesday, or if you save this for later in the week, hey, thank you no matter what time you're listening to this, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Spartans. That's right, your team every single day. That's right, still in a different setting. We are a little south, so you know it. If you're watching on YouTube, we're going sleeveless because when the sun's out, the lack of guns are out. So hey, always happy to be talking Michigan State Spartans. We're going to do something different than what we did in yesterday's show. Yesterday we talked about Max Christie potentially not being here next year. But what if he does come back next year? We'll get into that for segment one. Segment two, BetOnline.net has a lot of good odds for, we got an NFL draft coming up, so we'll talk Kenneth Walker's odds to be the first running back, and also the basketball national championship odds for next year. And if you're not a betting person, it won't really necessarily be a betting segment as much as it'll be like, what are these sports books thinking about Michigan State and our athletes as we move into the next season? And last but not least, we're going to debut Trivia Tuesday. That's right, here in the off season. As it gets a little slower, we're going to mix in a segment of trivia. 8 questions about, your Michigan State Spartans, as you could probably already figure. And just play against each other, amongst yourselves. No prizes. Probably a great window of cheating there. If I said, hey, email me your score, and oh my God, everyone got an 8 out of 8. What are the odds? That's crazy. No, so it's just a little fun thing that we're going to try to do here every Tuesday in the off season, unless like there's massive breaking news and we don't get to it. But plan on that for being a nice little Tuesday sweetener at the end of each episode. And before we get any further, just 2 things. One, hey, please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast or YouTube show. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for giving that a try. And I'm sorry you have to just watch my face over and over again, but hey, that's life sometimes, isn't it? And number 2, if you ever want to reach out, lockedonspartans@gmail.com is where you could find these listening eyeballs. That's right, reading each and every one of your emails. Thank you so much for everyone that shoots one my way. Let's get into it. Right, just like I said, if you missed yesterday's show, this is what you missed. We talked about Max Christie possibly leaving. And we talked about that because a lot of college players made their decisions whether they were going to go to the NBA draft or for sure stay in college. Now, with that said, they still have until early June to withdraw if they did enter the NBA draft. So like a guy like Max Christie, we still got the whole month of May to sit here and wonder, oh my God, what on earth is going to happen? And before going any further, I will say this. I'm not going to claim I'm the most plugged in guy in the world, but like the people that I do know that are plugged in, hearing a lot of the same, that it is expected that Max Christie will be going to the draft, keeping his name in the draft. Now, I've heard different criteria that his camp is looking for, like, if it's a first round grade, he'll definitely go, or if it's top 40, he'll definitely go. Like, regardless, I'm hearing that it's maybe a 70 to 80% chance that he's out of here. However, as a fan of college sports, you probably know that nothing changes faster in anything than, just news in college sports. So yeah, there is a chance that he does come back. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how great that would be, actually, if he does come back. You probably can already fill in a lot of the blanks, right? Like, I think the most important part is, you have a player coming back that is used to playing 30 minutes per game. Now, of course, at the end of the season, we saw that, 30 minutes per game has been a lot on this true freshman, especially when he's tasked with guarding the other team's best wing player, and no shortage of great wing players in the Big Ten last season. So get him in the offseason. He knows what the grind of the season is, knows what to expect, and with the strength and conditioning program, which usually does a pretty good job here at Michigan State, add some more muscle, get some strength in those legs, and he's good to go. But hey, also, it's your starting 3 guy. Like, how great is it to not lose 2 starters in a single offseason? Because the other one being Marble, of course, would be the presumed starting center. But adios, he is in the transfer portal. So, yeah, you would like to keep Well, another starter at bay. Listen, this is all the obvious stuff. Like, yes, you get the best perimeter defender on your team, and if not one of the best in the whole conference. And also, better yet, if you want a cherry on top of all that, next year there's not going to be the Johnny Davises of the world, the Keegan Murrays of the world, the Jaden Ivies. Like, listen, there's of course always going to be some sort of talent in the Big Ten, but maybe perhaps not like 3 guys that could be selected in the top 10 of the NBA draft next year. So that would be nice too, to have a lockdown perimeter guy that doesn't have to expend all of his energy guarding lottery picks, but also this is what really would excite me if Christie comes back. And it's not even the starting lineup. And what I mean by that is, we talked on yesterday's show that if Christie decides to leave, okay, you plug Jaden Akins in at the 3. And I have no issue with that. I'm very confident in Jaden Akins. I think so highly of him. I mean, hey, if you want to look at the conductor of the Jaden Akins hype train, look no further than your screen right here. It's who comes off the bench, though. And that is something that would worry me. If Christie does not come back, okay, Jaden is your 5th starter. And then, like, who's that 6th man that you're always looking to? Like, Traywon Holloman? Like, that's a lot to put on a true freshman. Is it going to be Keon Coleman? I don't know. Pierre Brooks? Like, there's no set 6th man. Whereas if Christie comes back, I feel pretty good about that first man off the bench that's coming in and giving a jolt of energy to this team in Jaden Akins, like he has the entire season. I think one way or another, Akins is going to play a fair share of minutes this year. But man, just Akins off the bench, it's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? So yeah, that would just be sensational if he can come back. And also, amongst all of that, like, as worried we are about the front court heading into next season, like, you only have Sissoko coming back and Jackson Kohler. Joey Hauser's going to have to play the 5 here and there. Malik Hall, like, what's going on in the paint is very thin. However, on the contrary, that's how excited we could be about the perimeter for Michigan State next year. You're rolling out Hogard, Tyson Walker, Max Christie, and then Jaden Akins. And hey, how about this? I could do you one better right now. If Christie comes back, right now there are 4 guys returning. This is before Christie even announces. Sorry, I'm phrasing this horribly. Before Christie comes back, right now, there are 4 guys returning that shot 38% or better from three-point land. That is Malik Hall, Joey Hauser, Tyson Walker, Jaden Akins. Yes, Christie shot 30% this year, 31%. But again, this goes hand in hand with the strength, building that up, expecting the grind of the season a little bit better next year than last year would be, of course, not just the hope, but maybe the assumption. You could have a lineup with Hall, Hauser, Walker, and Akins and Christie out there where all 5 guys are major 3-point threats. And like, that sounds very fun for me, and probably to you as well. So yeah, hey, listen, 3-point production's coming back next year, regardless of his decision. But if you can get him, you can get Christie return, that would be nice. I would welcome that. And that would also, I think it's safe to say, that would make you not just one of the best backcourts in the Big Ten, if not the best, but man, that gets Michigan State really at the top of the pecking order of the Big Ten Conference. Maybe not the top. I think, unfortunately, that's going to be predicated on what happens at that school down the road, whether Caleb Houston leaves, Musafi Abate, however they do in the transfer portal. But hey, however anyone else does in the transfer portal too. But Michigan State could be close to the driver's seat of Big Ten play should Christie come back. Because, let's be honest, it's a down Big Ten year next year. And what I'm about to do is something called a segue. That's right. And because we're going to talk about how down the Big Ten can be next year in the eyes of bookkeepers. But hey, just got to talk to you people first about Athletic Greens. That is right, folks. Listen, hey, us at the Locked On Spartans podcast, we want you to feel better. And we want you to feel better about your gut health. We want you to have more energy and an optimized immune system. Do all you hate just taking pills and vitamins and just want something that tastes great? Well, Athletic Greens has the goods for you. With just one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. That's a lot of big fancy words right there to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. And right now it is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It is just one scoop in a cup of water every day. How easy is that? That's so easy. An idiot that forgets everything like me can even remember to do that. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you 1 free year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/college. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/college to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And before looking into some odds here, that's right, courtesy of betonline.net. Hey, just want to thank you for making Locked On Spartans your first listen every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We got some fun episodes coming up this week, of course. My God, it's finally the draft. After talking about it for so long, it's going on Thursday. We'll have a full show prepping you, getting ready for all the Spartans that are going to be drafted. And then we're going to start our Memory Lane series. That's what we're calling it right now. If you got a better name, feel free to reach out, lockedonspartans@gmail.com. But yes, in the off season, we're just going to have guests on, and it's kind of like sitting around a bonfire or a bar or around the pool, just shooting the you-know-what about certain teams, like the 2019 MSU Final Four run we're going to do with Carter Elliott of Sleepers Media. And then we might riff on Connor Cook sometime. You get the point. It'll be a good time. Casual conversation, some good memories, hopefully a few laughs here and there. But yeah, that's what we got going on Locked On Spartans. Okay, done plugging future shows. Let's get into what you want to listen to, and that is odds and ends from BetOnline. So, why are we talking about national title odds for the college basketball season at the end of April in 2022? Is it because I'm a sick person and I just love gambling so much? No comment there. Mostly, it's because this is how the sports books view next year. Now, of course, we've seen a lot of way too early top 25 lists and everything like that the media has put in their predictions for how it's going to shake out next year. But the sports books, too. Let's look to see what they have as well. Okay, to set the table here, Michigan State actually started when these odds came out, courtesy of BetOnline. They started off at 66-1, which is not that great. It was kind of about like 30th in the nation, somewhere around there. They're tied with a few different teams. But ever since, in those last 2 or 3 weeks since these lines have been posted, literally these were posted like 5 seconds after the buzzer for the national championship sounded. There's been some movement. In the movement, not just from Michigan State, but also other Big Ten teams has, and I'm going to throw the F word out, fascinated me. It has fascinated me. Michigan State has moved from 66-1 to 50-1. And yes, that's after losing Gabe Brown, Marcus Bingham, getting back Joey Hauser. That's nice. But also Max Christie going to the NBA draft. And I'm going to guess that these sports books know as much as we know that it most likely is, yes, that he's leaving. But yet, MSU's odds have only gotten better, despite no transfer portal ads or anything like that. That is really interesting to me that Vegas is kind of somewhat high-ish on the Spartans. Like right now, those odds are about like 25th best in the nation. Now, what has interested me even more is that a few Big Ten teams that are going to be in that upper tier next year, their odds have changed as well for your national champion next year. The highest team was, and still is, Michigan. They opened up at 18-1. Okay, their odds have dropped all the way down to 33-1 after all the declarations for the NBA, after the transfer portal season, all that stuff. Guys announcing their return to college. Okay, Purdue, they were the second best Big Ten team. They were at 40-1, and now they are 50-1, so they're scooted back. They're tied with Michigan State right now. And Illinois actually moved up. They went from 80-1 to 66-1. Maybe Vegas just hates big men, because I think it's hilarious that Michigan's gotten worse. And really the biggest news that's happened since is Hunter Dickinson announcing his return back to the school next year. And all that done was just make their odds lower, even worse. But on the contrary, okay, Illinois loses Kofi Coburn. He announces his intentions to go to the NBA. And their stock only gets better down at Illinois. So maybe Vegas is just trying to tell us something that maybe you don't even need a center at all. Now, Exhibit A can quickly be erased right there because right now their national champion favorite is the Kentucky Wildcats. They just jumped Arkansas. Arkansas was the favorite. Now it's Kentucky. They jumped up to 8-1, and I'm sure getting your center and reigning National Player of the Year Oscar Shea way back, that doesn't hurt. But yeah, I took a pause at those odds to see the movement there and looking at the top teams that have their big man coming back. Hunter Dickinson, Michigan, their odds only got worse. Illinois, they said hit the bricks to Kofi Cockburn, or rather, Kofi Cockburn hit Illinois with the hit the bricks, and their odds only gotten better. Purdue, tough to read what's going on there. Listen, 40-1 was never great odds. Now they're 50-1. Maybe it's because Zach Edey's returning and they just don't like him as a big man. I don't know. So maybe I really do need to stop fretting about Michigan State's lack of center experience next year, and maybe small ball is just the future, baby. Embrace it. I don't know if that's actually the truth, or I'm just looking for any shred of hope for our front court next year. But yeah, hey, that certainly didn't help either. Also, let's switch sports here, but stay on betting. We got the NFL draft coming up in 2 days here on Thursday. That's right. We don't expect Kenneth Walker's name to be announced on the first day in that first round of the NFL draft because running back is, God, they just treat him like misfit toys in the NFL these days. However, he will still be a hot commodity, but he's 1A and 1B with Breece Hall. That's right, of Iowa State. So those are the two guys that are going to be at the top of the boards as far as running backs go. Could they go second round? Yeah, most likely. Could they go third round? Yeah, sure. Why not? But BetOnline has odds as to what gentleman will go first. Breece Hall is actually the favorite right now. Actually, the favorite right now is Breece Hall at minus 325. If you're not a gambler and that number doesn't make sense to you, it says that Vegas is pretty confident, actually, that Breece Hall of Iowa State will be the first running back taken off the board in the NFL draft, most likely Friday. And Kenneth Walker is at plus 240 odds. So, hey, if you're like me and you think that Kenneth Walker is indeed the best running back in the nation and he should be the first running back off the board, go throw a coin on that. Plus 240 means that you bet $10 and you're going to profit $24. That's what that means. But yeah, I was very surprised to see that those were the odds. Not just the fact that Kenneth Walker isn't like the leading running back on draft boards or, so to speak, sports books draft boards, but also it's just that wide of a gap because everything I've been reading is that, yeah, it truly is 1A and 1B between Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. Or also, too, they do have a third running back on the board, Isaiah Spiller of Texas A&M. He's at 10-1, kind of a long shot there, but yeah, we'll get more into the draft for Thursday's show to just prep everyone for it. But yeah, that's where it stands right now is that Kenneth Walker might be behind Breece Hall. But hey, you know what? Lord knows that these aren't always correct. Upsets happen all the time in the history of sports and sports books and drafts. The draft is wacky. It's crazy. Just look what's even happened at that number 1 overall pick. For the longest time, it was Aiden Hutchinson going one to the Jaguars. Oh my God, it's weeks and now months that this has been, the favorite in the clubhouse. But all of a sudden we wake up today on Tuesday and Trayvon Walker is the heavy favorite to be the number 1 overall pick. So, hey, listen, I know it's just 48 hours until the draft starts, but a lot of crazy things can happen. So hopefully someone realizes that, yeah, Kenneth Walker has the vision, has the speed, has the strength, has the wiggle to be the number 1 running back. But yeah, that is also why that if Breece Hall, Breece or Bryce Hall, what do I keep saying? Yeah, Breece Hall. Sorry if I've butchered his name 1,000 times. If Hall is taken ahead of Kenneth Walker, from what I've read, it's just going to be because he's a little bit bigger and also can catch the ball out of the backfield, more accustomed to that than Kenneth Walker was at Michigan State, who really didn't do it all too much, but also didn't do it too much because he didn't have to do it that much. Like, he was just good enough. Peyton Thorne turning around being like, hey, here you go bang out 35 yards, but I digress. You guys know where I stand. Kenneth Walker's the GOAT. He's a legend. He's the best running back. Hey, then let's just put our money where our mouth is and wager a few shekels on Kenneth Walker. How about that for you? So, yeah, that's odds, but also just kind of seeing where these sports books, how they think about the Big Ten basketball season and also, this draft coming up here. And yeah, but hey, we're also going to hear a little bit from our friends at BetOnline, because before Trivia Tuesday starts next segment, I just got to talk to you fine folks about betonline.net. And hey, you know that the draft is coming up. It's also the best time of year. NBA playoffs have started. NBA playoffs is just the best. I absolutely love the NBA playoffs. NHL playoffs also about to start. Also awesome, although I know so little about hockey compared to basketball. But hey, that's not going to stop me from wagering a little bit on it. They got golf going on. They got Major League Baseball going on. They got your draft props, if I haven't already said that. They've got it all at betonline.net because they are your number one source for all your sports betting stats and info. Find all the latest developments, league reviews, news, including this year's basketball playoffs and start of Major League Baseball season at BetOnline, your continued source for all your sports wagering information from live betting, playoffs, esports, and more. So head to the website today. Use your mobile device. Learn more about the trends in action. That is on BetOnline, where the game starts, gang. And let's start some Trivia Tuesday. Again, I'm going to read 8 questions. I think the difficulty here is medium, I would call it. Listen, I'm not trying to bury everyone right off the bat here and being like, how many blades of grass sit between the 35-yard lines at Spartans Stadium? Like, I want these to be questions that you can answer, and not going back to almanacs from the 1920s about basketball players or farmers playing football or anything like that. So hopefully this is good. Tell me if they're too hard or too easy. Comment below, please, if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening to the podcast. LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com is the place to find me. So yeah, 8 questions. Going to read them all off, and then we'll do answers afterward. Okay, so question number 1. No, boom, boom. I should turn the lights off to get dramatic effect here. How's that? No, that's horrible. That's a bad idea. Okay, let me turn the lights back on. Okay, sorry if you're listening on the podcast. That probably didn't make a lot of sense to you. I just tried to turn the lights off for dramatic effect and couldn't see me at all on YouTube. Anyway, it's probably actually better for everyone. Anyway, question number 1. What state has MSU played its most bowl games in? Question number 1. Which state has MSU played its most bowl games in? Question number 2. By a score of 101 to 67, God, hopefully they cover the spread there. By a score of 101 to 67, who did MSU beat in the Final Four to reach the title game in 1979? By a score of 101 to 67, who did MSU beat in the Final Four to reach the title game in 1979? Question number 3. Tom Izzo has coached 3 Big Ten Freshmen of the Year. Name them. Name them. Tom Izzo has coached 3 Big Ten Freshmen of the Year. Name them. That's the question. That's right. Number 4. Now let's get into some draft questions here because 'tis the season. The 2012 NFL Draft saw 6 Spartans drafted. Who was the first to be drafted amongst that group? Question number 4. The 2012 NFL Draft saw 6 Spartans drafted. Who was the first drafted amongst that group? And another NFL draft question for you lovely folks. Question number 5. 2014 to 2016 saw 3 straight years with a Spartan drafted in the first round. Before that stretch, who was the most recent first-round draft pick? 2014 to 2016 saw 3 straight years with a Spartan drafted in the first round. Before that stretch, who was the most recent first-round draft pick? All right, getting out of the draft, but staying with football. 2013's football team was the first to go through the Big Ten season with every game being decided by double digits. One of my favorite fun facts of all time. On the contrary, how many of the football team's conference games in 2015 were decided by single digits? They played 9 Big Ten games in 2015. How many of those games, wins or losses, were decided by single digits? Question number 7. Name 3 of the 4 if I could talk correctly, this would make it easier. Name 3 of the 4 basketball venues in the conference that have a lower capacity than MSU. That's right, MSU is kind of at the bottom for capacity at Breslin Center, but they're not the lowest. There's 4 teams below them. Give me 3 of the 4 to earn this full point. That's right. Play strict around here. And question number 8. Question number 8, the final question. We all know Joey Hauser's season high last year was his 27 points against Davidson. Who was his second highest scoring game against? What team was it against? We all know Joey Hauser's season high last year was 27 points against Davidson. Who was his second highest scoring game against? All right. I assume you want some answers. So let's just get it right into it. I'll read the question again, give you the answer, tally it up, comment below, hit me up. Tell me if this is too easy, too hard, or just right for future Trivia Tuesdays that we'll do in the offseason. Question number 1. Which state has MSU played its most bowl games in? That would be California. California with 8. Florida is a close second with 7. But yes, MSU has played 8 bowl games in the state of California. So that is your correct answer. And it helps when a good chunk of those, I believe 4 of them, are Rose Bowls. So yeah, that'll do it right there. Number 2, by a score of 101-67, who did MSU beat in the Final Four to reach the title game in 1979? That would be Penn. They absolutely took it to Penn, who I believe was a 9 seed in that tournament. So yeah, the Cinderella got its slipper snatched off right there, courtesy of Magic Johnson. Question number 3. Tom Izzo has coached 3 Big Ten Freshmen of the Year. Name them. Now, you don't have to have the year, but I'll give it anyway. It was Gary Harris in 2013, Miles Bridges in 2017, and then Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. the year after in 2018. So Gary Harris, Miles Bridges, Jaren Jackson Jr. are your 3 Big Ten Freshmen of the Year that Tom Izzo has coached. The 2012 NFL Draft, for question number 4. The 2012 NFL Draft saw 6 Spartans drafted. Who went first amongst that group? That would be friend of the program. That's right, one of my favorite people of all time, Jarrell Worthy, went to the second round, Green Bay Packers. Question number 5. 2014 to 2016 saw 3 straight years with Spartans drafted in the first round. Before that stretch, who was the most recent first-round draft pick? You had to scale the clock all the way back 11 years earlier than 2014, back to 2003, and that is, of course, if you're a Lions fan as well, Charles Rogers. May God rest his soul. Question number 6. 2013's football team was the first to go through Big Ten conference play with every game being decided by double digits. That's right, the first ever Big Ten team to do that. On the contrary, how many of their conference games in 2015 were decided by single digits? Out of the 9 Big Ten games that the 2015 team played, 6 were decided by single digits. Yes, that includes that confusing loss at Nebraska, which ended up not mattering because, hey, we still made the Big Ten championship anyway. It still made the college football playoffs, so good on you there. But yeah, heart attacks everywhere that season. Ohio State was one. Well, of course, Purdue was a single-digit game. The Michigan game, hey, I don't know if you remember that one. That was a fun one. But yeah, 6 games decided by single digits in 2015, if you want to know why I drink and why I'll probably die 10 years earlier than I should because of the stress that one single season gave us all. Number 7, name 3 of the 4 basketball venues in the conference that have lower capacity than MSU. Okay, if you gave me any 3 of Minnesota, Michigan, Northwestern, and Rutgers, go ahead and give yourself a point. If you got all 4, screw it. Go ahead and give yourself extra credit. I don't know. It's not like we're dishing out prizes here. I'm sorry about that. Question number 8, last question. We all know Joey Hauser's season high last year was his 27 points against Davidson. Who was his second highest scoring game against? That was going to be back in the winter in non-conference play as he lit up High Point. That's right, High Point for 17 points. So yes, his second highest season total last year was against High Point. Sorry, Tubby Smith, but Joey had to do it to you. So yes, again, let me know how you did. Thank you so much for sitting through this segment. I hope you enjoyed it. I like myself some trivia. Hopefully you guys do a little bit as well. And if you don't, hey, tell me that as well. Tell me that's a stupid segment. Sorry to say, I'll probably still do it next week, but I'll try to make it better somehow if you have any suggestions for that as well. This is a group effort here. This is a group project. You guys are just simply the best, just with your tweets, emails, all the support you guys show. And I can't thank you enough for making Locked On Spartans your first listen every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Yeah, quite simply the best. Now, go make your second listen Locked On NFL Draft. That is with the gang, Ryan Tracy, former NFL cornerback, Eric Crocker. They bring the NFL Draft to life every day with insight and analysis on college football prospects and NFL front offices. It's free and available where you lovely people get your podcast. Love every single one of you. See you tomorrow. Go green.